we're looking at a real tough one.
Boss, I've located them all across Australia, in cities, on coastlines.
Yeah, looks like this case isn't going to be a walk in the park.
Yeah, they're in parks too.
Cancel your dinner plans, detective. Let's find these weeds.
Yeah, while they might look innocent, pretty even, invasive weeds can be a huge problem.
A weed is any plant that grows where it doesn't belong. In a garden, that's annoying. But in the wild or on a farm, it can be catastrophic.
Weeds can rob native plants of water and nutrients they need to grow. They can increase fire risk and can act as a host for pests and diseases. Some of them are even poisonous for animals.
We're very concerned often about the environmental impacts, about having beautiful native Australian landscapes and bushland and healthy streams that aren't taken over, that aren't choked out by species which aren't meant to be there, which can really take over.
So how did you get here?
Weeds have been a problem in Australia since colonisation, when people introduced a whole lot of new species, sometimes on purpose and sometimes by accident. Some of those plant species liked their new environment a little too much and quickly took over. Now we're much more aware of how damaging weeds can be, or at least we should be.
I found the suspects.
Aha! Gazania, aka the African daisy, a flowering plant native to South Africa.
It says here that it's an invasive weed and it's causing some big problems out in the Mallee country.
How did you find it?
Oh, I just bought it at the nursery.
Yeah, recently there's been some controversy over the fact that Gazania here is being sold at some shops.
It's currently in some of our big nurseries, so at Bunnings, or if you go to other large nursery chains or just your local nursery, species which have been identified as highly invasive, as weedy, still able to be sold.
Different states have different laws about what plants can be sold at nurseries. And while some species are controlled, Jack says too many aren't.
Unfortunately, a lot of people's gardens are ticking time bombs. That means they have these plants in there that could end up being the weeds that land care or dune care groups or local councils have to go and deal with.
And it's not just gazanias.
So you might have heard of things like blackberry, lantana, which if you go into bushland, you often see that. People might have seen is one that's called pampas grass. Another good example of something that people often don't think about is cactuses. So we have a whole heap of cactuses that people love to keep, but they really can get into our environment and become very serious weeds.
It's why the Invasive Species Council is calling for tougher and clearer rules about what can and can't be sold in nurseries and grown in gardens.
It's not reasonable to expect every single Australian gardener, when they go down to their local nursery, to know what is a good or a bad plant. That actually this is where governments need to step in. Governments making some clear rules about what can and can't be sold.
He says invasive weeds are a problem we need to take more seriously to protect our fragile ecosystems.
Well, I wish I could say case closed, but I don't think we've seen the last of this one.